Hi, I'm Kurt, and I'm going to show you how to make large-scale gift boxes using the Template Studio. The Template Studio works with standard-sized poster board that you can pick up at any grocery store. We Are Memory Keepers also has a new line of designer poster board which comes in a variety of colors and patterns, as well as foil, craft, and glitter. To get started, I'm going to pull out my instruction cards that come with the starter kit. And inside, you can see all of these different sizes of boxes that we can make, as well as the different sizes of paper we will need, and then the step-by-step instructions that I'll be going through with you that you can reference after this video is over. The box that I'm going to be making today is right here. It's 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.7. And the paper size I will need is 22 by 22. Now, poster board is already 22 by 28, so I only need to make one cut for this particular box. And to do that, I'm going to take my A and B straight guides that come with the starter kit. I'm going to connect them together and use aligning the arrows on the guide with 22. I'm going to snap them into place. And then I'm going to take my black cutting blade and I'm going to just run it along the bottom of the side here. And there's my nice cut. Now when I cut, I want to make sure I hold it down so it doesn't wiggle on me, so I get a nice clean cut. Next, I'm going to take my envelope and box guide, and I'm connecting it with C. And in the instructions, you'll see it says to align the arrow of C in 4.5 with one peg off the mat. And then this is going to come down diagonally, and I'm going to connect it into 17.5 down here. There we go. Now we're going to move our paper to alignment A. Alignment A is going to help me get the paper in the right spot for the size box that I want. So for this particular box, I'm aligning it at 1 inch down here on the bottom side. Now I'm ready to start cutting and scoring. I'm going to take my gray cutting blade, and I'm going to cut along the inside right here. And then I'm going to take my blue scoring blade, and I'm going to score right here along the diagonal. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to repeat this on all 4 sides, aligning it at 1 each time, or whatever number my box requires. Cut, score, and then rotate, making sure I align up to the proper measurement again. And it's easy to remember because it's the same number each time. So if I was lining up with 2, it would be 2 each time. If it was 3, it would be 3 each time. Just make sure that you line it up there each time. Okay. Last side here. Cut and score. Now that I've got all those 4 sides done, I'm going to flip the paper over, and I'm going to repeat the process on the back side of the paper. Except this time, I don't need to do my score lines again. I only need to do the cutting. So I'm just going to cut the same place, again aligning at 1. Okay, rotate it, and repeat this on all 4 sides. Now, if you look at your instruction cards, you're going to see that for the size 22 by 22, there is lots of different alignment numbers. So if I were aligning this one at 0 with this size paper, I'm going to get more of a square box. And then the further in I come from 0, it's going to get more and more rectangular. So if you want to align it at a different number than we have on there, for instance, if you want to align it at 1.5 instead of 1, you're going to get a slightly more rectangular box than the one I'm making right now. Okay, we've got all the cuts done. Now I'm going to flip the paper over once again so I can see my score lines that I've already made. And I'm going to align my paper down here at the bottom, and I'm going to line it up here so it lines up nicely in this cut line. And then you can see I have the score guide printed here on my template guide, and it's going to line up with my score lines that I've already made. And now I'm going to take my scoring blade, and I'm going to score diagonally. And I'm rotating it, and I'm repeating this again on all 4 sides. And what this is doing, this is making the top flaps of my box. Okay, aligning my my cut and my score lines. Okay, there we have it. There's all of our score lines done. Now we need to do one last set of score lines, and we're connecting A and B together again. And referencing our instructions, it says to align our arrows at 11, just like this. Now I'm going to pull out my instruction cards again, and I'm going to look down here for alignment B. Alignment B is going to tell me where to align my paper for this score line. And this one says to align it to 0. And what this is doing is this is going to give me some of my side scoring. Now I'm scoring from the bottom to the score lines and the top to the score lines, leaving the middle without any score lines on it. I'm rotating my paper, and I'm going to repeat that again, aligning it to 0. And scoring from top to score line, bottom to score line. And now we're ready to start assembling it. Now I have an optional step I can do if I want to do this, and I'm going to show it to you. You don't have to do this. This is optional. I'm going to cut a notch. The notching in here is you align your paper in here. You align it like that. And then I like to also make sure that this is nicely along here, this horizontal line, nicely level. And I'm going to cut this notch. Now when I say this is optional, I will show you in a minute, because these notches can tend to be tricky as you assemble it. They do have a tendency to rip if you're not super careful. So, and it is nice to just tape it off so that you don't have to worry about ripping your poster board when you're finished. Okay, so now we're going to fold this. You fold along all of your score lines that you've just made. And then on these ones that we made, you're going to fold it in on itself. So it looks just like that. Coming in and fold along the score lines, fold in, and again, just like that. Fold in on this side. So when you're all done folding, it should look like this. Okay, now if you did the notches, what you're going to do is you're going to want to fold and tape these to the panels with the notches. If you didn't do the notches, just make sure that you're taping these together on opposite sides from one another. Now I'm using a red tape. It's a nice permanent tape. You don't have to use red tape, but a permanent tape is what works best. And I'm just going to take the tape, I'm just going to tape it on here. These strands that I have already been pre-cut. I'm just going to tape it down on itself. So it's like that, taping it to the panel with the notch. Okay, running this one here. And you can see when I'm taping this, this is just easy for me. I'm taping one part to this panel, one part to that panel. So when I tape it in, it tapes down nicely like that. And then I'm taping it down there. So when I'm all finished, it stays in there nicely together. Okay, now I'm going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Now again, if you're not doing the notches, you can do it. Just make sure that you're gluing the panels down on opposite sides of one another. Okay, and last side. Okay, so here we go. Now you're just going to fold in the two sides that do not have that we did not glue into one another. Just fold them in nicely like that. Now if you're going to use the notch, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure the notches are nicely open. You're going to line them up. Now I don't like to pull on here. If you pull on here, it has a tendency to rip. So I like to hold these top panels right here and just slide them into one another. You can see it tends to be a little bit on the tricky side. But once it's in, it's nice, and then it will come apart nice and easy. If you choose not to use the notches, just take another piece of tape and just tack down one panel right here. And then it just folds down nicely on top of itself, and it'll hold itself nicely for gift giving. Now you're ready to decorate your box however you choose, with bows and ribbons and tags. This is just one of the many projects you can make using the Template Studio. Be sure to check out our other instructional videos.